Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Passport to the Paranormal. Hey, Joe, how are you doing today?
Hey, Heather, I'm good.
Good. I see you have your girlfriends with you again.
Yeah.
I see.
They're always back there hanging around.
Yeah, at first I was like, I saw your curtains moving. I'm like, wait, does he have his window open?
Well, it's open a little bit because the cats go in and out.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I
no,
figured Annabelle was causing trouble.
it's kind of lousy weather up here in New England, which, wait a minute, it'll change.
Yeah.
But no, I've been looking forward to this show. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, so I'm not going to waste any time, but real quick before we get started, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. I will flag them and make sure we get to them before the end of the show. You can ask questions about our topic today, which is disproving or debunking, which is the popular word. I still don't like that word, but that's my personal opinion. But any questions about that or anything paranormal, feel free to ask any of us. But we do have Jeff. I'm going to pull him in. Thank you, Jeff, for joining us this week.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
How you doing there, brother?
Good.
Oh, my glasses on.
I see a couple of my people are in here. So we got Cassie is here and Faith. Hello.
Yep. They've actually been commenting since before we started because we were too busy chatting back and forth backstage. But yeah, welcome to the show, guys. Let us know if you have any questions or want to discuss anything, if you want us to take the conversation elsewhere. But I know our topic today is kind of what you've been doing recently with taking videos or evidence and kind of showing the reality behind why it is either true or it's not true and stuff along those lines. And what kind of got you started with that?
Well, so, I'd come across YouTube channels like, Sam and Colby and just, a bunch of these big YouTube channels that were paranormal, content. And it was always like, okay, something is not right here. You guys are both investigators. You know that you're not going to walk into a building and with 10 minutes have more evidence on camera than I've had in the last 2 years combined. So it's just like something's not right here. Something's goofy. Are we faking this? Are we? What's going on here? So I found a channel called The Shape, and he outed one of these guys, and I was just like, holy crap, that's okay. So that's what's going on. This is, and then I started looking into other debunkers and I found like Beardo and Side Eye Guy and a whole side of YouTube was opened up to me, and a whole side of the whole paranormal content because, I've got a residential background and you guys do too. I mean, I think for the most part. And
God, yes.
So ghost hunting really, yes, I like to watch the TV shows, but even the TV shows, you always knew there's something goofy going on here because they're not, they're not capturing all that stuff in a night. So, but I started finding these channels, just like my eyes were opened. It's worse than I thought it was. Like there's one video that I saw and it was Side Eye Guy. He outed Mindseed TV, which is a huge YouTube channel. Like it's a massive channel. And he showed proof where they hired actors. They rented out an Airbnb. The actors told the story of a haunting that they had. And none of it was real because they were actors. And it was at an Airbnb that they filmed all this in. So I was just like, holy crap, that is horrible. And and their fans, man, I definitely hit a nerve with the Paranormal Nightmares TV series. Their fans do not like me whatsoever, but they got me to where I can monetize. So,
well, in all fairness, did they label this as entertainment purposes only, or were they passing this off as real?
Nope, totally passing it off as real.
Okay,
yep.
Because that's disrespectful to people like us that been doing this 40 years, and all I've done is help people. I don't engage in this fraudulent stuff at all. But I've become fascinated over the last, I'd say, couple of months.
Yeah.
Another day goes by and, some friend or colleague somewhere around the country or whatever will say, hey, Joe, take a look at this. Let me get your 2 cents on this. And I'll look at it and like, it's just, some of it's so fantastical and it's unbelievable.
Yep.
And so, what the old saying is, if something's too good to be true, it usually is.
Yep.
So I'm sorry, Jeff, go ahead. Continue.
No, that's cool. And one thing too that I've seen watching a lot of these YouTube channels is the apps. The apps really drive these investigations. You know what I mean? And they say such general things, but then everybody jumps to conclusions and lets the app drive the investigation. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Instead of going in there investigating, it's what is the app telling me to ask? And heck, let's just turn one on right now. We'll just let it run while we're doing the show and has to say. I guarantee you, it's going to tell me that there's about 50 ghosts in my house right now.
Which one are you turning on?
I am turning on Spirit Talker.
Okay. I mean, I've heard of these apps. So do you find any one of them to be credible? Or at least
I don't think so. I don't think so because a lot of them want permission to use your microphone, your location, they want access to your pictures.
Oh yeah.
So,
tracking you.
Yeah. And if it wants access to your microphone and you're asking for a name constantly, chances are it's going to give you a name. So I just turned it on. And like I said, I don't ask it questions. We'll just see what happens. But a lot of the equipment, there was one video that Kenny Biddle did on the DR60. It's the recorder that is used in all the ghost shows. They go for thousands of dollars, but they're flawed. And that's why everybody wants it, because I can rub my foot on the floor and not even hear it, but this thing picks it up like it's a demon talking. So it's just, and then you get that audio pareidolia going on where someone says, "Oh, it said this."
Yeah.
And then that's all you can hear. I mean, that's a real common thing, because when I close my eyes and listen to these videos, watch these videos, if you close your eyes when they're doing these recordings, you don't hear it. But when you see it on the TV screen, you can't unhear it. It's crazy.
Right.
Yep. So, I mean, that's, I guess a brief summary of what I've been doing for the last 5-6 months. My eyes were really, really opened, and I'm glad they were, because how many EVPs did I pass off to people that were, maybe me brushing my shirt. Destination. Okay. We got destination. We got one word. I'll turn this off so we can't hear it, but you know what I'm saying? It's how many things have I turned into an EVP that really aren't? So, and when you're dealing in residential stuff, that's, it's irresponsible to go to somebody with an app response or audio pareidolia, tell them, I think it says this, when, you know what I'm saying? It's, you can really, really scare the crap out of people. And
all right. I mean, what's more irresponsible and could be damaging to the family is that when you do get some responses and then you try to put that in your narrative, what these responses are.
Right.
And then you say to the folk, "Oh, I think you have a demon here." Yeah. Okay. I hate that word, the demon word. And I'm like, I tell people, they say, "Hi, Joe, I just had ABC Paranormal here, and they said I have a demon. They ran out of here. They said, we can't help you. It's above our pay grade." And I'm like, well, first of all, there's no demon here, So now you got to pull them back off the ledge. I say this just about every show, but it comes. This is what's out there.
No, it's true. It takes
really irresponsible. They're doing more damage than they think.
Yep. And we've all done the private cases. And once that thought is put into these clients' heads, you got to take 2 or 3 sessions of talking to them just to get that out of their head. Like you've got to, it sometimes takes several, Zoom meetings or whatever to talk them off that ledge. Like Joe just said, you got to get to where you're starting with a clean slate. And that's sometimes difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's even harder when it's a member of your own team that tells them there's a demon in the home, because we had that when we were in Vegas, and the woman put her house up for sale, but yet still had us come and investigate one more time. And we told her the second time we were there, there's something here, but it's nothing negative.
Yeah. Yep.
And she still sold her house because she couldn't get it out of her head, because the previous members who went in were there 5 minutes and told her she had a demon.
Yeah. Yep. And it's, we've done cases too where we'll go into a house and the client didn't have a fear of sleeping in her bed, but then she had a psychic medium come in and say, there's a guy that stands in the corner and watches you sleep at night. So now we're sleeping downstairs on the couch. You know, it's
Yep.
I usually end up there anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's because you're bad.
I was going to say, let's leave your marital problems out of this.
Exactly. Hey, Julie, how you doing?
Honey, if you're listening, I'm just kidding. I love you.
I hope she knows by now. Oh, so yeah, I mean, I found a lot of new channels. Kenny Biddle is another one. Like I mentioned him earlier. He is awesome at going after, like, he breaks down the equipment. You know what I mean? He'll do a 40-minute video about why the SLS camera is garbage. And like, in my opinion, and everything I state tonight is my opinion, anybody that uses the SLS right now is just like, it's faulty. It's flawed, completely flawed. It's not evidence of the paranormal. It was not designed to pick up things that aren't in the room. You know, it's designed to be in a clear space, 10 foot by 10 foot. You can't, it says in the instructions, you can't have anything in the room.
So does it get confused with like furniture and desks?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't know what's behind it, to be honest with you, because I don't use it. But.
You put a chair in the middle of the room and put the SLS camera on it, and it wants to turn it into a person. It's very bad with reflective surfaces. And, you know, so then now, not only do we have that SLS camera, we have the app that does it, the Ghost Tube. And it's the same thing. It's just as bad. So I'm just looking to see who's in my house tonight. Oh. Someone named Joy, who apparently had a heart attack.
So. Interesting. Yeah. Now, one thing, I'm just going to take the opposite side of the argument real quick, just because I know paranormal teams, including myself, have faced this, is with so many people out there doing what you do. There are some that slip through the cracks who actually share authentic evidence, do the hard work, and they're getting ripped to shreds. I know, including myself, which is why I no longer talk to this one person, just completely threw me under the bus without even analyzing any evidence I had, stating that everything the team I was on was fake. And it's, you know, it's one of those things where, trying to word my words carefully here, is if you're looking to disprove something so badly, does it happen where you accidentally disprove something falsely? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Okay. It does. And I think so like from what I see from like the debunking community is that like once someone is caught red-handed faking something, everything they do is sus after that. But there's a lot of teams that, you know, a lot of the debunkers, including, you know, myself, we're investigators too. So, you know, I put out a video the other day or a couple weeks ago, and I thought people are going to rip this to shreds because it was an Estes method. There was mediums involved. And I personally know these people, and I know they wouldn't lie and fake. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of it is integrity. And, you know, you have to, and it is hard to take the word of somebody that you don't know, but like, you know, I told him in the video, like, you just got to take my word for it. These people aren't going to lie. And sure, some people said that, yeah, you know, they weren't doing that right. You know, they faked it. And I mean, there's going to be skeptics out there that are skeptical of absolutely everything. Right. That's that's really not most of the debunkers. Most debunkers are not that way. There's a few that are in there, but they're respectful, you know. But there's a lot of channels too out there. Like I wrote some down. Weeping Willow is one that's in here tonight. You know, it's a good channel. I mean, I know them. I know they're not faking, but they do things, and you know, equipment goes off and things that some debunkers go after. But until someone has been caught faking something, you know, you got to take the word for it. And a lot of times, like, I present my stuff not as evidence. I say this is interesting because I've had things that, yes, I think it's a spirit, but I can't prove it is, but I can't disprove it isn't, you know? So, and I think a lot of that happens too, but yeah, sometimes it sounds a little harsh, you know, when people just won't believe anything. And that sucks.
Right. Well, and it's just, I know some people who I personally trust 100% who have been attacked by the debunkers out there. And they've actually shared the evidence that they've been attacked with me. And there's no, yes, it could be questionable, but knowing these people and how they investigate, it's just sad to see them. And some have left the field because of, and I'm not putting this as a target on you. I'm just trying to look at the other side. Is some people have left because of what you guys are doing.
I know, like, and I'll speak for me personally. Like, I will only say a channel is fake or something going on is fake if I can't say 100% because let's bring up the Cody and Satori thing. I've seen enough videos. I've watched hours and hours and hours of footage of them. I've seen his toes moving. I've seen his leg move. I've seen them make mistakes when they do the alphabet thing where he corrects her over and over. Like, I've seen too much to think that's real. So in my opinion, they are faking it 100%, but I'm not there with them. So I guess I can say 99.9% if that makes sense. But there's videos too that I've seen where you see a hand in the shot and pull a string, and
that's different, but
yes. But there are times where I'll give my opinion. There was one that I did on CJ Fasion. He's got this haunted farm, and it's clear to me, although I never proved it, I never saw a third person, but it's clear to me that there's somebody else in that house with them that's off camera. They'll bang and then they'll go hide somewhere. It's a case where there's 25 paranormal events go on in 30 minutes. Like that, we all know that's not realistic.
Right.
So you guys are faking that somehow. I just didn't catch you. But in things that, like, I don't know, I guess things that, if crap, how do I say this? I'm careful. I guess I don't go at people hard unless I really catch them.
Right. Yeah. And that's where you're different than some of the others, because I've actually seen, and I get putting, like if I were to put out a clip and say, hey, what do you guys think? Some people saying it's fake. Some people saying, I get that you're going to have some of those, but I've actually seen, people who go hard, like they put their, kind of like a lot of the debunkers, they put their eyes, granted, I'm not siding with Corey and Satori, but they'll put their eyes on one person and just rip apart everything they do. And they won't let go until that person either quits the field or admits, hey, you're right, I'm a liar.
Yeah.
And, sometimes it's needed, but there are teams that are getting attacked, just because of, I guess the paradrama kind of plays a part of it.
Yeah. Yep.
But I mean, and it's not all of the debunkers out there. I'm just seeing that there are certain ones who, I've had to block a couple myself.
I think a lot of the channels that I watch mainly go after like the bigger channels, like, Sam and Colby or Mindseed TV or, Paranormal Nightmares. I mean, they go at Really Haunted is another one. That guy is just running around, puts out paranormal crap 3 times a week. And he's doing it all, it's
right.
But I mean, yes. And that is a problem that I have seen, is that instead of saying, like you said, if you put out a clip, instead of saying, well, it could be this, some debunkers do say, you faked it, this is what you did, instead of it could be, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, until someone has been caught red-handed, like I don't go hard at it. I don't think that's right to do. It's not fair. Because that paranormal video I put out, people could rip it to shreds probably. And say, those mediums that were doing the Estes method, they could hear the questions, because it does look like they heard the questions. I admit that, but I know them, and I know they didn't,
Right. They probably heard it, but not in the sense of audio, audible.
Yeah.
They, you know what I'm saying? They might have, they're psychics. You never know what they're thinking or what they're, or what's going on.
And, the same person that was in that video, I've done other things with too. And it's been the same way with her doing that. Like, it's just to where I wish I probably do have it on video. I just haven't posted it, but, it's a lot more convincing maybe than which one I posted. if that makes sense. So,
yep. Yeah, Philip wants to know if you look at his demon orbs on his Ring camera.
Yeah, I see so many Ring camera videos. It's
spider webs that are blown by.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And those people, you argue with them, and they won't back down. That is a ghost. Like, no, it's
and
not.
That reminds me, the channel I want you to look at and just kind of give me your opinion on it when you get a chance in the future. It's the Orbologist. It's on YouTube, and it's Dale White, and all of his videos are
Is he the one that posts a lot of pictures too of like the spiny looking things across the? I've seen him before.
Like the fish one?
Yeah, I didn't know he had a YouTube channel. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah.
Well,
some of the videos I've seen him do are like, okay, that's really interesting. I've never seen anything like that, so it could be an orb. But then all of the other ones are like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Well, here's another trick too that I've seen people do, that you can go on YouTube and download green screen orbs and put them in your video. Like, I had no idea that was a thing until you see them. You can download green screen ghosts. I've seen those in videos too. It's like, holy crap, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
And
we had that in Vegas with. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, the thing is too, is that some of these people are making good money on YouTube.
Yeah.
Sam and Colby, according to a website that, estimates how much people make, just on their channel, made over $1 million last year. Now, I don't know if that website is accurate, but I wish I knew the name of it. But that's just from their views and their ad revenue. That's not their merch. That's not their side channels. That's not, So I mean, there's motivation to fake things for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, but how do you get up in the morning and look at yourself in the mirror?
Well, Sam and Colby, for one, said straight up on Joe Rogan, their goal is to be famous. They could give two craps about paranormal investigation. That's just where they found that they got, we found a niche here. Yeah. And that's where we're making our money. So that's their stated goal, was to be famous. So,
okay.
And that's not what this field is all about.
No. And I think
it's not what we're about. It's not certainly not what I'm about. I mean, I have evidence, caught over the last 40 years that is absolutely authentic. And I don't have a YouTube channel. I don't throw it up on YouTube.
I know we should.
I could if I wanted to, but I'm in this business, or I'm just not even a business. I'm in this work to help people. And also I lecture to educate people, those that will listen. I don't know everything, but how many people out there listening can actually say they faced a demon, a real demon?
Yeah.
Okay. It is not fun, Jeff. We've had this conversation before.
Oh, yeah.
All right. It is not fun when you're attacked, physically attacked, and you got a terrified family, in the wake, and you're trying to help them. Ask the old school guys. Ask, my friend John Zaffis. I mean, we've been through that stuff. So, of course, when we were doing it, we didn't have internet. We didn't have social media back then. I mean, but to me personally, I don't care for it. It's not illegal. I think it's immoral to do that to families. Unless you specifically state this is for entertainment purposes only, that's fine. But don't pass this stuff off. And then when somebody calls you on it, then you got this is where I don't understand all the hate, and it hurts me personally to see people hating on one another. I mean, and some of these are friends and colleagues of mine, and they're fighting and they're bickering and they're making videos about each other, and I'm like, oh my God, guys! I mean, that's so immature.
Yep.
Why? If you look, we all came from the same creator, in my opinion, and if we can disagree with one another, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Like you said earlier, this is your opinion.
Yeah. I
have opinions. Heather has opinions. Heather and I disagree on a lot of stuff and methods and everything like that, but we're good friends. I respect her opinion, and she's entitled to it, just as you are, and I am, and everybody out there. But it just gets ugly, and it hurts. It hurts, and when people see that, they lose respect for you and your credibility is lost.
Yeah.
Yep. And, you know, maybe in the heat of the moment, people don't think of that, but you have to stop and think of the damage that you're causing, you know, yourself, your credibility, your integrity. You know, I wish that we didn't have all this hate, and it's, you know, it's wrong.
It's really bad out there right now. I mean, like, you guys, you know, have friends in the community and all that stuff, but it's all around. There's just pockets that are just like, man, they make me cringe. I stay out of it. Like, I don't, it has nothing to do with me. I just watch it and be like, oh, it bugs me that it's going on, but you know, I can't do anything about it. And it's not my fight. You know, like, I will say this. If I see, people have asked me, why do you care what these channels do? Like, why do you care if they fake it? What, you know, they're not hurting anybody. But that's not true, because a lot of people watch these paranormal channels as a hope in the afterlife. You know what I mean? And so if you've got I'm just a big channel for name only, but there's tons doing it. But Sam and Colby, or no, let's say Cody and Satori, proving that they're talking to people, you know, talking to dead relatives and things like that. If they're not, that's bad. You know what I mean? Like, if they're, because there's a lot of people that are looking for answers and looking for hope and looking to see what the afterlife is like and all that other stuff. They want to know that their loved ones are in a good place. And
that's where faith comes in, Jeff. That's where I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
no, you're good.
It is not for us to know the future. Okay. And a lot of people believe that, a lot of people don't, but I believe it's not for us to know the future. We'll know the future when our time on this earth is gone. But that's where you get in trouble. I mean, because that's when you get into divination, and I'm not going to get into my whole lecture about it.
No, I think I'm in the same boat as you, is that, like, I believe that psychics and mediums have abilities and gifts, but I've never gone to one for a reading on my future. I won't.
Well, yeah,
personally,
they probably couldn't give you one unless it was something that maybe they thought was true. But it's like, I've teased. I've got a lot of psychic friends. Lorraine Warren was the most psychic person I've ever worked with, and I used to tease her and say, Lorraine, what are the lottery numbers for Friday night? You know, honey, it doesn't work that way. Yeah, I know. I was just teasing.
Yeah,
you know, it doesn't work that way. Now, if you concentrate and you come up with 6 numbers, okay. I've had people do that, and not one of them came out. And I'm like, well, we're not meant to know that. We're not meant. I ask, when I talk to people, I said, how many people here, if they could, would like to know the time and date and manner of their own death? And usually no one raises their hand. Every once in a while, like somebody in the crowd, I'm like, really? Okay. I respect that, but why?
Yeah.
You know, why? What if it's like tomorrow? I mean,
you
know, it's just we're not meant to know our future.
Yeah,
only God knows our future and has a future for us. And when you start messing around with that stuff, that's when you can get into trouble.
Yeah, that's my belief too. Is that, you know, I just don't cross that line. Another line I don't cross, is Ouija boards. You guys talked about this a few weeks ago.
Don't get me started.
Like, like, my mind is telling me there's nothing to them. Like, it's all your intent and everything you guys said a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But that is a line I will not cross. I don't know why.
Good.
So there's a channel, Mr. Gray. He's one of the most skeptical debunkers out there.
I've seen him. Yeah.
But very, very respectful. Even him and Beardo are supposed to do this Ouija board thing sometime soon. So he got a Ouija board. He put it on. He's got it on an easel that's in his background every time he does a video.
Yeah.
But even he said he turns that thing around at night. So you've got one of the biggest skeptics on the internet, you know, and he's like, I don't know about this stupid thing. So he said he turns it around at night. So
I'm still going to get Joe to play with one next time we do an event together.
Yeah.
We're going to do a demonstration with our presentation.
There you go.
And I know, Heather, in your beliefs, you guys use spirit boards, talking boards, and again, I respect that. It's just, I've been involved in many Ouija board cases throughout the years, and none of them were ever good.
Yeah.
I mean, now you're opening up a doorway that you're not going to be able to close. Now
it is definitely
attachment.
It's definitely a tool that can open a door if that's your intent. Because I know, we've been on cases together. We were on a case early on in the foundation where, a Ouija board was used with bad intent, and all three of us and a couple others sat in on that interview, and so I do believe that it is a tool that can be used for, to bring up that stuff.
Personally, I view it the same way as doing an EVP session, or even if you have a spirit in your home and you talk to the spirit.
Yep.
Right. You don't even need the board. I mean, the board is just an object. It's the intention and your free will.
Yep.
Because by your free will, you are trying to communicate with something or gain knowledge of the future that you're not meant to have.
Yeah.
And that is opening a channel.
Mm-hmm.
It could, now I'm not saying that if you've ever used a Ouija board in your life, you're going to have a problem, but why spin the wheel and take that chance? It's not worth it.
Yep. A good friend of mine did a documentary on it and his experience with it. And God, what was it called? His name is Fox Thomas. I wish I knew the name of the video that he did, but he purposely experimented with it, trying to bring out something evil. And, it was F around and find out. And he did. So, I mean, it was a good documentary. He quit doing the paranormal after that for years. It really, he brought something up he shouldn't have. But then again, that was his intent. He said that was his goal. I'm trying to bring this crap out. So,
right.
Well, I mean, how many you guys have been doing this for a while too? How many times you've had a person or a team come to you and say, we're at this residence or we're at the cemetery with a Ouija board, and now we feel something followed us, something has attached itself to us, and I just go like this. I'm like, well, first of all, what were you using a Ouija board for? What was your intention? And they're not educated. And a lot of these investigators out there today, God bless them, but what education do you have?
Mm-hmm.
If watching shows on television, say, oh, I can do that. And, no, I mean, you should get in with someone or a group that's been around for a while that has these old school practices, because you got to learn, you got to start from the beginning. Now I was fortunate. I had those mentors. Not everybody did, but
right.
I try to teach. This is what, when I lecture, it's educational. I'm just like, you don't have to follow my methods and do what I tell you to do, but this is what I've done. This is what I've learned, and it's worked for me.
Yeah.
And I had a woman once at our lecture in Florida, Heather. Remember after we finished the Ouija or not Ouija?
Yeah.
My friend in the front row, she's raising her hand and she's like, my 10-year-old grandson uses a Ouija board. Should he be doing that? And I just went,
oh, wow. Yeah.
See,
wow,
I got ripped a new one by someone in the audience for my response to that. Because for me, no, a 10-year-old shouldn't be using it. But I responded saying, if it was my son, knowing that I've taught him everything he needs to know about it, I would have no problem with him using one. And someone in the audience was like, how dare you let her know that it's okay to let a 10-year-old use? I'm like, I didn't say her 10-year-old.
Yeah.
I said my 10-year-old.
Yep.
See, and that's your opinion, and I respect that. But that's why we get along so great, because we have disagreements, but we can joke about them, and we're still good friends. This gets me back to the hating, and I hate that word, hating. I don't hate anybody. I don't get involved in these things because, people send me emails. Oh, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Watch this video. And I just kind of give them my politically correct answer. And I said, you know what? It's very interesting. Thanks for sharing. But, without more context, I couldn't really give you an opinion either way.
Yeah.
I don't want to let them down and say, nah, it's just a bunch of dust. What are you, an idiot? I mean, no, Joe Franke doesn't do that.
Yeah, a lot of people send you like a 10-second clip. What do you think about this? It's like, wait a minute. I need a minute before and a minute after to get some context. You can't send me a 5 to 10 second thing and have
or
me
it's zoomed in 100 times.
Yeah. Oh, God. I can take a picture. So I got a bookcase here in front of me with 2 glass doors. I can take a picture of that, and I promise you, I will find a spirit face in the reflection.
And a couple orbs.
Yep. I'll just zoom in on something. Up there's one. And it's there's so many pages that's all that's on there on Facebook is just pictures like that and orbs and.
Well, I mean, if somebody says, "Can you take a look at this orb? There's a face in it or something," and in your heart of hearts that it could be dust, it could be, a bug. Bugs are usually more pronounced because they have wings, but it could be a refraction of light. I mean, and we mentioned earlier, it could be smoke, like you're smoking there.
No, that's my incense.
It could be, a spider web going across a ring camera or something. Now, these people really believe they've captured something, and they're all excited about it. And then, some people, when if you tell them your honest opinion, and say, I believe that it's a spider web or whatever. Now, I've never really had this happen, but I've had colleagues that have this happen, and the people actually get mad at them. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. What makes you such an expert? This is definitely a spirit. And if you want to believe it's a spirit, then it's a spirit. I'm not going to disagree with you.
And that's the hardest ones are the ones that say my husband passed away 2 years ago or 2 months ago. And I believe this is him. What do you think? I never go honest with that question.
Ed
I say
if it makes them comfortable.
Yep. If that's what you want to believe, then you hold on to that belief. I don't.
I'll tell you a quick story because I tell this when people ask that question. Well, my wife lost a lot of family members at a younger age. They passed too soon. And it was kind of, with my dad passed away, it was 5 immediate family members passed away within 2 years. And every time my wife sees a rainbow, she in her heart, in her soul, she believes that is her family smiling down on her saying, everything's okay. We're good. Everything's good, and it makes her happy. And I remember we were out to lunch with Ed and Lorraine one day, and she was talking about that. And Ed looked at her and said, Laurel, he said, if you believe that rainbow is a sign from your past loved ones, then it is. Because who wants to be that person that said, oh, you're crazy. It's just a rainbow. I mean, no one's going to say that. And, God help the person that does, because
I'm sure people do.
But I mean, my whole point is, if you believe that you smell your grandmother or a parent's, cologne or aftershave or perfume, or you hear a voice, or if you have a piano that used to belong to your grandparent and it starts playing, or you think you hear it, maybe it didn't actually play, but you thought you heard it, then just say, that's wonderful. That's a wonderful experience, And
that's,
you don't want to trash them.
That's something too, like that, I guess from my perspective and a lot of people is that one thing the debunking community really doesn't take account for is personal experiences. Like you can't prove them, but you can't disprove them either. And, if I say something touched me on my head, how could a debunker watch that video and say, no, it didn't? As long as you're a credible person and have not faked things in the past, you almost have to take them at their word for it until you can prove it otherwise, so.
Right. Yeah. Yep. And that's hard too, because I've actually been on investigations and I kind of questioned these 2 that I was investigating with for a long time, but I didn't say anything because they were members of the team and they were on the team longer than I was.
Yeah.
And it was every investigation we did. One of them would be like, oh, something just touched my hand. 2 seconds later, oh, something just touched my hand. And they're on opposite ends of the room.
Yep.
Not to say that it couldn't happen, but it was every investigation.
Yep.
And at that point, it's like, okay, either something's not right, or they're just in sync with each other, where something happens on every investigation.
And something too that I learned, I guess, early on is that the power of suggestion is very, very powerful. Like someone can say, let's say you're in a room with 4 people. Someone says, oh my gosh, it's cold over here. I'm starting to get goosebumps. I will start getting them too. It's not paranormal. It's me feeding into that suggestion that, oh, shit, I got that happening too. So, I learned that a long time ago, that that's not a good sense of, now if you're the first one and you really feel that, then, but I mean, if there was nothing to suggest it to you beforehand, that's one thing. But then once it's said by one person, all of a sudden 3 or 4 other people will start, oh yeah, you're right.
That's why I always keep my personal experiences to myself. And I'll document them and share them after even though I don't use psychic abilities or anything like that during investigation, I still don't share what I experience because I don't want to hinder what others experience. And then I share what I experience at the end.
And if you have a gifted team member, Jeff, you'll agree with this. If you've got someone that is investigating or responding to a claim for a client and they go to the home, and they have psychic ability, they should make notes, but not verbalize, oh, geez, there's somebody standing over in that corner. No, write it down, discuss it as a team later, and do a report for the family. But don't freak them out, because you may be wrong. Well, that's you can't put the shit back in the horse, so to speak. Excuse my French.
And that's our policy too when we do investigations, is we don't let the clients know who is a psychic, who's a medium, and we don't let them talk. We want them to write things down and bring it to us after the fact. Well, I don't want to know. I don't want to be tainted. Don't say go in this room because that's where it's at. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear that, because if I find that room naturally, then so be it. But we have specific rules that we do with our psychics on investigations. And that's the way to go, especially when dealing with residential cases, because, it's so easy to scare people. That's why that Paranormal Nightmares TV channel bothers me so much, because all of their videos come from people's houses. And most of them they put on camera, and then they wander around their house with the spirit talker that this thing has probably 35 answers on right now. They wander around with these 35 answers and show it in their video. And that's proof to these people that there's a ghost in their house or a demon or whatever. And that's irresponsible and not fair. So that's why teams like that bother me.
My favorite is when they walk around with the that they shouldn't be walking.
I'm sorry, Heather, go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. I was going to say my favorite is when they walk around the home with like the tri-field meter or other thing like the Eddie Plus that says, please leave stationary. And they're walking around the house with it.
Yep. So, I'm just taking a look at this to see what it said. I was conjured, the children play, necromancer, hunt. I mean, we got all kinds of, he killed us, Harriet, terrible. I mean, if I wanted to, I could make a story with all of those,
That actually sounds like a story I've read recently.
Yeah. So these apps tend to drive investigations,
Yeah. But, there are people out there that love them and they use them, and they're probably be hating on us for saying that.
Now that being said, the Ovilus is basically pre-phone app, but it does the same thing. It's a word bank. I absolutely hate that thing. But there was one time that we used it where we were trying to talk to the family name was Story, and we were trying to communicate with the mom in a cemetery. The word mother came up and the word story came up back to back. Is there something to it? Sometimes I think so, because that was just way too coincidental. That was weird.
And I agree with you on that one. I was anti-Ovilus until a member of our team got it just to test out. So he could either prove it or disprove it. It was one of those, he bought it just for that reason. And then he sold it when we were done with it. But I was carrying it around, and I've talked about this several times before, but we were walking through an investigation at a location, and I didn't realize, because I was playing with the device, that I had turned kind of down a hallway and around a corner from where the rest of the team was. So we were out of sight, but within earshot. Yeah. And all of a sudden it was quiet up until I got to where I was alone. And it was death, devil, demon, sacrifice, alone. And I said, who are you going to sacrifice? Still not realizing I'm alone. And it was you came across the device as something ran its finger down my back.
There's your material for your next book.
Yep. I turned around, realized I was alone. I'm like, not today, and left.
Yep.
And then later on the same investigation, my son was with us on that one. We went back to that room to do an investigation, and suddenly I got nauseous, dizzy, and everyone else in the room was fine, but I just got completely sick.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to remove me from the investigation because, you know, in that one room, and it was like, okay, something's not right.
Yep. Like I said, I do think sometimes they're legit, you know, sometimes those things do put out legit stuff, but the majority of the time they don't. But I mean, yeah,
or just one hell of a coincidence.
Yep. But I mean, like I said, we were literally in front of the gravesite, the gravestone that said story on it, trying to communicate with the mother, and it said mother.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's
okay.
And my being somewhat of a skeptic of the device, my inner thoughts would be maybe someone had been there prior and had marked that with GPS.
But this was the Ovilus, so it's not connected to the internet.
So yeah,
it's not now a spirit app is different, because what you just said, that could be the case on an app, because it is all connected to the you know, locations and all that stuff. But the Ovilus isn't. It's I don't know how many words are in that thing, but you know, it was, but there are pre-programmed words in that, and that's it. So it's just, that was crazy.
Well, if you want to impress me, tell me it said some words that weren't pre-programmed.
Yeah.
Because if there's something with intelligence, it doesn't need a toy to communicate.
But they won't tell you what the programmed words are. I think. I don't think they'll
I don't think I've ever seen a list of them.
Right. I think people have looked, if I remember right, and said they won't say what it is. So I don't know.
But it's technology. And if they're not going to share the list, then who knows? They might have put GPS in the device.
They're old though, aren't they?
That's just my being, you know, devil's advocate on that.
No,
one.
I know. I'm just trying to think.
Like, those are the questions you have to ask.
When did those come out? Like the Ovilus, the older ones.
5-6 years ago.
I don't even know.
10 years ago.
It was longer than that.
It might be longer than that, but we got ours about 5 years ago when we tested it.
I don't have one. So.
Okay. Because I know, they've definitely made different models of them, but you know, the one that I know that we used, it was an old one. That you know, that's another piece of equipment people are spending thousands of bucks to get.
Yay, capitalism.
Fabulous. Yeah.
Buddy.
Yep.
Casper wants to say hi. Get up here.
I've even found companies that will buy them at wholesale, and then they'll put your team logo on, like etch your team logo on the back. So then they're reselling them at an even higher price because they're personalized.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. Bye.
Puppy's done.
That's Casper. Casper's the ghost dog.
Yep.
He's bugging me. I don't know what he wants.
Your window is
ours
open.
Has been hiding because of the thunderstorms here.
Okay.
But it wasn't open today. My ghost moved, Jeff.
No, it wasn't.
I hope you still have that video. That was pretty cool. I'm looking at it. It's still hanging here.
Yep.
I have weird stuff happen down here occasionally, but it doesn't bother me.
And that's, you know, we haven't had stuff happen here for a while, but people say, well, what do you do when stuff happens at your house? We get the prayers out in the, you know, the blessing stuff. We don't get the cameras out in the recorders. I've never investigated my own house.
Never do that. That's
nope.
Yep. We had a client.
People laugh. My house is on lockdown.
Yep.
We had a client that had a
Nothing gets in or out.
daughter. She was taking her 5-year-old daughter around the house with a recorder, asking questions. And like, oh, what are you doing, mommy? Because you could hear the little girl, and you know, I don't know which region it was in. I said, yeah, I hope you already told her to stop doing that. But some people get so hooked on it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if you're almost willing something to happen, of course something's going to happen. You're going to hear something, you're going to capture something, because the mind is a very powerful thing. You know, but you should never investigate your own home. If you feel you have a problem, call somebody, you know, for some advice. I tell people the last thing that I would do is go to the house and do an investigation.
Yep.
You know, now when I started a long time ago, I'd be like, yeah, let's go, you know, get the cameras, get the equipment. Now it's like there's so many questions. I do more investigating or researching, I could say. There's a big difference between an investigator and a researcher. Investigators just want to run out there and, you know, get the money shot. You know, no, you got to do research on the house, on the family, on the property, who lived there before, You know, all the details. Is it near a body of water or ley lines or whatever? I mean, you know, and then you take all those pieces of the puzzle and then you put them together. Now, you give them advice over the phone. I mean, especially with COVID, who did a lot of stuff over the phone, Zoom.
Yep.
And, you know, you got to ask the right questions, though, probing questions. And one question might lead to 10 more. You know, the who, what, you know, when, where, you know, and then why. Okay, I know what's happening. You're telling me what's happening, but let's find out why it's happening.
Yeah.
You know, how long have you lived there? 30 years. When did this activity start? Oh, about 2 years ago. Okay, let's start here where we are and move backwards 2 years and see, was there some kind of significant event or traumatic event or something in your life or your family's life that happened that could have triggered something? I mean, you got to do it methodically. You know, and you know, but too many people are just so gung ho about going out there, and you got 16 people on your team, and if you don't invite somebody, somebody gets mad. And I'm like, look, I'm trying to help somebody here that's frightened, whether they have a paranormal affliction or they don't. Let's focus on the person that needs help, all right, and stop the infighting and stop the fighting and the hate. And I'm sorry, I'm getting off my soapbox, Heather, I promise. But it hurts me.
I'm getting close, but I haven't pulled out the banner yet.
You know, as an elder and a veteran in this field and in this work, which was a vocation for me. This isn't an occupation, it was a vocation. I just wish that people could just get along and maybe we could help one another. My mentors are gone now. All right. If I need help, I'm reaching out to you guys because I don't know everything. I'll reach out. I call my friend John. I'm like, John, you're Ed's nephew. You're the closest family to me when it comes to the Warren family. You know, you've been doing this a dozen years longer than I have. You know, let's learn from one another. Whether you're doing this 4 months or 40 years, we can learn from one another, and we should definitely do that. So
I've since I started, I have probably changed. All of my beliefs have changed since I started doing this. I mean, it's. And like I said, too, the last 5 months, you know, which was kind of the basis of this show, is like it was another like enlightening point. Like, holy crap, I'm looking at so many things, so many different ways now, and it's, you know, because I've come upon these channels. It's like, wow, I don't. And another thing that I've really come across is a lot of these exorcists and these deliverance ministries. You know, we got Bob Larson. Have you ever seen him? What a okay, I won't say it. I'm not going to swear on your show, but
I think everybody's got the idea.
Yeah. I mean,
even though it doesn't matter,
the dude is worth millions, all based on, and you watch this stuff and it's like, come on, dude, they're not possessed. What are you doing? Like, and it's not just him. There's so many of them out there doing it. I found one the other day called Invictus Ministry. This guy, like, he's jabbing this teenage girl in the stomach with a cross, and then he sticks her head in a garbage can and makes her throw up. Like, what do you think was going to happen? You're stabbing her in the gut, dude, you idiot. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. And it's people like that. And also the paranormal investigators who go in and say, you know, you have a demon that causes, I mean, I know it's a big joke here in Florida where you always see the headlines, Florida man does this, Florida man does that. It's even so bad that they've made a TV show out of it. But it's true. I mean, it's that I wish I could remember it, but we've had 2 cases here since we've moved back to Florida, and it's been 2.5 years. And one of the cases was the mother attempted to kill her son because a paranormal team told her son was infested by demons.
Oh my God.
And she was so religious that she felt she had to kill him or try to kill him to get the demons to go away. Another mom was caught transporting her son in a suitcase because she couldn't afford to pay airfare for both of them to take him to a deliverance minister because a minister here in Florida told her son had demons attached to him. So this little 2-year-old boy was shoved in a suitcase and put in the underbelly of a plane.
That really sounds like that Invictus Ministries.
Yeah.
They're in Florida. And like that guy, if you watch my last video, you know, I'm sure you've seen people like him, but like he's got to be one of the worst. It was so bad. And yeah, if you're doing God's work, you shouldn't be charging anybody for it. You know,
Right.
If you're a pastor of a church and you feel that you're, supposedly doing deliverance ministry and things like that, your church should support what you're doing. And that's where you gain your income, not charging a client to help them. That should never, ever be part of any kind of ministry whatsoever.
Yeah. And the same thing in the paranormal field. I personally feel that way. And there are ways, I mean, granted, I don't support some of the ways people are making money, but there are ways to make money in the paranormal field.
Yeah.
You know, like, for example, I write books. That's part of the income that I bring in that help me do what I do, to where it makes it to where I can help people because, you're not stuck working 9-to-5 jobs, even though I've gone back to that recently. It's, there are plenty of things you can do besides charging the client.
Yeah. Yep. You can, run events or do lectures or educate, or, I mean, yeah, you're right. There's tons of things you can do, but the client should never, ever, ever, ever pay.
Right.
I mean, I've never charged, never will. That's just always been one of my ethics.
I've met so many people, and I get it. I get the other flip side of the coin, because when I went through my PhD program, one of the classes we talked about was a section of it was, should you charge a client?
Yeah.
And, of course, it's up to each individual person, because we do have to make some money somehow. But depending on the situation, of course, you're not going to charge a client to, at least me personally. But there are teams out there that will charge because they view this as a job.
Yeah.
And, and that's their choice. But, there are plenty of people out there who won't charge that can offer you the same guidance as someone who is charging.
Yep. And, if someone wanted to say donate or something, that's different. But I would never say I'll come out for $25 or, whatever. I just don't.
Right.
Never have, never will.
Right. We even had the person was willing to buy us pizza for dinner, and we had trouble accepting that.
Yeah.
We're like, no, don't feel like you have to,
Right. And some people, I mean, that's like, if someone bought me a pizza, I'd be like, okay, that's cool. Like, they just appreciate your being there and helping out, and they just want to do something. And that's, now if it was someone I saw that they're spending their last $20 on a pizza for me to eat, I'd say, don't do it.
Right.
But,
I'll tell you a quick story, and it'll be quick.
You tell your story real quick. I'll be right back. I get a 1 hour.
I had a friend of mine and her husband. They owned a local bar/restaurant, and it was a very active building. It was a very old, active building, and I remember she had called someone in who was a psychic. And I didn't know the woman because she asked me her name, and she had done this obviously before. She told me, and she had the woman come back a few times, and I want to say that she spent a total of about $15,000. She gave this woman, and the woman claimed that she cleared this place of demons, and that's kind of, not long after that is when I found out about it. I'm like, who is this person? I said, and you paid her how much? So the activity continued. And so she went back to the woman and complained. And the woman just said, well, you must have did something to bring it back. And I mean, talk about fraud alert. I was like, you need to be ashamed of yourself. I echo what you guys said. We never, ever charge to help people at all.
Yeah.
If they have the means, and you have to look, I've traveled all over the country. If someone has the means and they can afford to pay your expenses, that's different. Right. But for your time, for your knowledge, for your expertise, and for your help, your guidance, no, never. Now most of the people, if not all of them that I've worked with over the years, clients, for lack of a better term, can't afford that. And I'm like, well, you don't have the money to pay for my gas. I'm not coming, No, that's my wife. I'm in debt up to my eyeballs because it comes out of pocket.
Right. Yep.
And you've done it too. I mean, but we do it because we're called to do it. I think
I've only done.
Is anybody out there charging people for that kind of service?
Right. Yeah. I've only done one case that, in hindsight, we should have charged. only because we were called to I can't reveal the location because of non-disclosures, but we were called to do a popular attraction on the Las Vegas Strip and investigate it. But it's been investigated hundreds of times. They know it was haunted. And they ended up calling us in because they wanted us to take their employees on a tour of the location to kind of help their employees not be so afraid. And it was one of those, we all jumped on it.
Yeah, that's different. That's a service.
And we didn't charge. We wanted to investigate there. You know, we were like dying to investigate there anyway, so we didn't charge. But in hindsight, we should have, because we were doing, you know, it was like a training session for their employees. But by the time we were done, four employees quit.
I mean, your time is valuable.
Right.
You know, and it's not right for someone to ask you for your time, or, you know, hey, can you drive 2 hours one way and not offer, you know, compensation for that. Right. You know, now, you know, most of the people, like I said, that they don't have two nickels to rub together. You know, they've got a husband and wife and maybe 3 young children that are terrified. You know, last thing you're thinking about is money. You just want to bring some comfort, because I've said this many times before. What you get back from this work is immeasurable. You can't put a dollar amount on the looking in the eyes or the face of a family that you've helped, and now they're at peace. You know, whatever the issue might have been, you know, it might have been, usually there's something simple. Usually the very low percentages are actually paranormal in nature, but you help them face that fear and understand that, okay, for example, you're hearing scratching in the walls and everything, but yet they watch all these TV shows and all these movies and everything. So now I hear something that sounds creepy and it's never happened before, and I can't explain where it's coming from. So they take that nuclear option and they leap right to demon, you know, and like, wait a minute, you got a squirrel living in your attic or something like that. I mean, that's happened. These are, you know, raccoons. These are things over the years that we found, but they're so relieved and like, I am so sorry I called you out there for that. I said, do you feel better? Well, yeah, I feel so relieved. I'm like, then I've done my job.
One of my favorites is, you know, a lot of people report, or, you know, they claim that their lights are flickering or something like that. It's like, before you talk to the paranormal person, let's get an electrician in there, because, you know, 90% of the time it's going to be, you know, you're going to stop a fire from happening because you had an electrician come in and fix the problem.
It could be a
switch, but yet if they don't call the electrician, the demon set the fire.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, it's true. Oh man. But
obviously the cooler option is to think that it's a ghost doing that. You know, and what kills me is the people that say, Joe, I need you to come over and get rid of this. I'm like, no, that's not what I do. If you have something there that you don't want, it's your house, it's your family, it's your life. I can help you. I can give you advice and you know, I got your 6 kind of thing. But I don't have a proton pack on my back. And this isn't the movies. You know, I said, I will help you to take a stand and face that fear. And I always say that because that's what Ed Warren used to say, face your fear. And I say faith and fear cannot coexist, because when you have faith, there is no fear, or there shouldn't be. Yeah. You know, for those
and how many people too have you helped just by like listening to them and their claims and saying, well, it could be that, you know, they're just looking for somebody to hear them out and not judge them for, you know, being crazy. And then all of a sudden the paranormal activity goes away once they've stated it and talked to somebody, you know, that has experience and, you know, a voice of reason. And then it just, all of a sudden their problem solved. You know,
that's what I mean? Right. You know, because a lot of folks, they really, in their heart of hearts, in their mind, are convinced they have a paranormal issue. So it's not like they're making it up.
Right.
Now, have I had people make stuff up just to get me to their house? Yes. You know, not recently, but long ago when I was, you know, young and gullible. Now I'm old and, you know, but
nothing's
you know,
changed, Joe.
It's still though, like I just said, if I just look at them and say, well, do you feel better? Are you relieved? And I'm like, well, then great. And I've done my job. I mean, you don't need the proton pack.
Yep. So you know, we started talking debunkers. Let me can I shout out a list of channels and a list of people that I think people should go check out? These are, you know, some of these are paranormal channels too. Like, just, they're legit. They're not out there doing all the hype. They're not doing the dude, bro. They're not, they go out, they investigate. We're not saying this is a ghost. We're saying this is interesting. This was weird. You guys be the judge. There's a lot of channels like that too that I found. Weeping Willow, who's in the chat, she's one of them. It's and I mentioned her before, but the Ouija brothers.
Thanks for joining.
They're a team out of the UK. Those guys are fantastic. They are hilarious to watch. It's just they just go in there, they film, and if they hear a noise,
I gotta check them out. I haven't watched them yet.
Yeah, they're really good. Ghosts on Trent, they're another one. Fantastic Publishing. She's one that she does a lot of commentary on the paranormal field. She's from the UK as well. Doof Paranormal, they're from Australia. She does a lot of cryptid stuff, a lot of alien stuff, a lot of live shows. She actually comes to the States quite a bit to investigate. She's got investigations. She went with Weeping Willow to Bobby Mackey's. So she traveled all the way from Australia to go.
Always wanted to go there. I've never made
Australia
it
or Bobby Mackey's.
No, I'm sorry. Well, both. Laurel wants to go to Australia and hug a koala bear.
Yeah. Well, they tore down or are going to tear down Bobby Mackey's.
Oh, are they? I didn't hear that.
If they haven't already done it, it's slated to be torn down for sure. Yeah.
Do you know why, or is it?
Cassie's, I think it's so old and decrepit. I think they're going to rebuild.
Okay.
But I don't know all the details. But Cassie says there's no demons at Bobby Mackey's. Just so y'all know.
Sure, it's a cool place.
Yeah, I would have liked to have gone there, but I think, and tell me what you guys think. Heather, you do like a lot of public stuff too. Is how many times does the original story have nothing to do with what's going on anymore because people have brought their own crap in there, like Bobby Mackey's? Is the original
99% of the time?
Yeah, I think whatever was originally there, I think is gone. But then now what may be haunting it is other people's crap that they brought in.
Yeah. Yeah, because you get the spirits that come with, because we all have attachments, even though we don't know it. There's always something that's attached to us that's just kind of laying in wait, is the way I view it. And, they stick around with us to see where we're going until they find something better. And of course, if you go somewhere like Bobby Mackey's or even, Waverly or Eastern State Penitentiary, to a spirit, that's got to be interesting.
Yeah.
Because that's somewhere that they probably didn't visit when they were alive. And there's probably other spirits there from many generations, hundreds of years ago. And it's like, wow, this is new. So then they attach themselves to the location. Yeah. And then you get the original spirits are like, screw this. and, and they move on.
It's getting too crowded here. We got to move.
Right.
Yep. Yeah,
but and I saw a post today that got me thinking. Someone says that there's 8 billion people in the world today. That means in 100 years there's going to be 8 billion more ghosts.
Oh wow!
And could you just? That's crowded.
Unless you believe in reincarnation, some of those souls will start again.
Right.
That's another good channel that and we've had him on the Warren Files and things like that before. Is Paul Goddard doing the past life regression stuff? That was dude, he's good. He's really, he hypnotized me to do it once. And it was a very, very weird experience. I'm glad I was afraid to do it. I was like, I'll be that guy that gets hypnotized and can't come out of it. Or, you're going to make me take my clothes off on camera or some stupid crap like that. But I was apprehensive to do it, but I do believe it was a real experience. Like, I don't think I would have made up in my mind what came to my mind immediately when he clicked. All of a sudden there was a picture, and it was crazy. It was weird. So that I'm not 100% convinced that reincarnation is real, but that added to my thought process, I guess, because it was,
at least you have an open mind about it.
Yeah. It seemed like a legit session that we did. So, I don't know, but he's another, he puts out good stuff too.
Hi, Kelly.
We did have a question. Jaya asked question, what do you think about paranormal activity starting from home renovations?
Absolutely. That's a common trigger, I think, a lot of times.
Wake up dormant spirits.
Yep. Or they just Maybe it's the past owners. They like, why are you messing with my house? You know, why I built this way for this reason. Why are you changing it? You know, like, you know, there's a lot of stories that like we watch a show, the $1 Million Realtors or whatever the heck it's called. And a lot of those people will not sell their house to somebody that's going to tear it down. They're so stuck on their house and how it is, the way it is right now. They want someone to move in and enjoy it the way that they do. And, you know, and I think probably spirits are the same way.
Right.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. I know a friend of mine, he has a theory that he's been researching for years on. I need to reach back out to him and find out where he's at on it. But the renovation uptick in paranormal activity could also come from, like, you have the old shiplap in the home or the old wood. And through the years, you can only imagine what that wood has seen or absorbed energy wise. And then when you start breaking it apart, it releases the energy it's trapped.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good theory too. Yep, for sure. Especially with stone and things like that. I mean, that you know, that's all scientifically proven. That stuff all absorbs, you know, energy and stuff like that. So
look at a place like Gettysburg. I mean, but something like 51,000 people died there in a 3-day period. I mean, of course there's going to be, you know, energy stored in the environment. And, you know, I've known people that have told all kinds of stories. You know, we were out there on a Saturday afternoon at 2:00 and we saw these regiments doing drills in the field, and the tour guide would be like, we don't have any reenactors. They saw maybe something from the past. You know, there's so many stories about that. It just can't be discounted. We took a tour. There's a fort here in Toledo where I live. It's actually in Perrysburg, and it's Fort Meigs. And we took their Halloween tour. You know, it was a spooky little tour thing, but they talked about all of the paranormal stuff that people have seen on that property, and it's crazy. So.
Yeah. We used to visit Gettysburg every summer those are my summer vacations with family. We would tour all the Civil War states and go to all the locations, and I would seek out the paranormal tours. And I've had more experiences in Gettysburg than any other location in my 30 years investigating. And it's amazing the experiences that you get there.
And that's cool stuff. I mean, that stuff is great. Or if you have an experience in your home or something with a past loved one, that's beautiful. You know, not everything is negative. But the negative stuff is what sells. It's what puts butts in the seats and makes money. And
look at YouTube. Everything is demon. Tonight because
it hits the algorithm, and you know, I put demon in the title, and then it moves up to the top of the list, and I just sit there and shake my head and like grab the popcorn and go, oh God, here we go again.
Well, it's like I think we talked about this last week. The one article that I wrote, the Hoover Dam, Satan, Demons, Ghosts, oh my, is my number one blog post. And like it does touch on Satan and demons because that was part of it, but it's just amazing how the title is like ranks it right up there. And I wrote that 4 years ago, and it's still my number one viewed post.
And I don't like. So if my last video I put demon in the title, but it did fit the stuff I was talking about, so it wasn't clickbait. But you know, if you put demon in the title and you're talking about a good paranormal encounter that you had or something beautiful or wonderful, or that's clickbait, and that's crappy to do. But like I actually talked about, you know, these people are casting out demons, you know, these deliverance ministries and stuff. So I did. If I can put demon in the title, I do, because like Joe said, you got to get into that algorithm somehow. And it's, you know,
everybody does it, but how many people put angel in their title?
Well, that don't.
I mean, you know,
the devil's more popular, unfortunately,
and that's the problem.
I know.
Look around you. Look at what's going on in the world today. Of course, he said he's work is at play here, and he's laughing his ass off. Or whatever it is, but and people and Jeff, you know, they tease you about this. About you say, "Oh, geez, I'd love for that to happen to me." You know, I'd like to see a demon or experience a demon. No, you wouldn't.
No, let's correct it, because I never said that.
Huh? Well,
I said I wanted to get scratched or pushed.
You know, and you know, I hope people don't get mad at me for saying this, but look, if you had a demon or a demonic case, you would know it, and you would probably soil yourself and you'd run for the hills.
Yep.
It is not something that's pleasant.
It is.
And if I never get another demonic case for the rest of my life, I am not going to complain.
Yep. I mean, I truly believe that I've been on 2 cases like that, and you're right. They are completely different. They're you just know. There's no other way. I can't describe it to you how you know it, but you do. You just know it, you know, and it's completely different than anything else you'll encounter. And that's why these guys, when they put that in the title, it's like, if you really encountered a demon, you're not making a cute little video about it. It's not fun, you know. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be down here, and my wife will open the door, and she's like, "Who are you yelling at?" I'm like, "I'm yelling at the TV." I'm like, "Where's your evidence?" That's it. Are you kidding me? Yep. I'm down here by myself, arguing with the television set.
That's another one. I almost died. That's always a common YouTube title too. Or
I
trapped.
almost died.
I was trapped.
Well, I mean, what worries me more about these, you know, urban explorers and YouTubers and stuff is a safety factor. I mean, I was a safety professional for 30 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you're going into an old abandoned school or hospital or mental asylum, and like, what are you looking for?
Yeah,
I'd be more worried about falling through the floorboards, or the ceiling collapsing on me, or maybe, you know, a homeless person in there that's gonna do you harm or something. Yep. That's what I'd be worried about.
There was a story.
All right, do you have permission to be there? You know, you're breaking the law. I tell people, I said, make sure you have the proper permission to be there, or you could get ticketed or arrested for trespassing. And I don't know how many people do that. I mean, ask permission, but I always give that advice. Yep. You know, because years ago, when we had the cemetery in Connecticut here that was popular, people would actually get caught there. Oh, Joe and his buddy said I can come here and after dark and take pictures. I'm like, no, I didn't. Yep. So, oh well.
There was
whatever they want, I guess. But
there was an incident in Toledo. This was quite a few years back, but you know, some of these urban explorers, there was a couple high school kids that broke into this old, I don't know if it was an apartment or a hotel or something, but dude fell down the elevator shaft. You know, they're walking around this old abandoned building that was falling and died. You know, it's a tragic story. What's weird too is the UK. I watch a lot of channels from the UK. Like, those guys just go into whatever the hell they want to. Like, if no one's living there, it seems to be fair game. And they say it's not, trespassing is a civil issue there, not a criminal issue. Meaning, like, the owners would have to catch you in the house and press charges. Like, the cops really don't do much, by my understanding of it. So it's just, they just wander wherever the hell they want, go into all these abandoned buildings and houses and, you know, make.
I mean, you know, at the risk of sounding hypocritical, I'll admit in front of everyone, I did it when I was a kid. Yeah. You know, I went into cemeteries after dark without permission and stuff like that. So I did it. But now I'm older and hopefully wiser. I'd be doing a disservice to people if I didn't say, make sure you get the proper permission. Now, whether you do or not is on you.
Yep.
You know, but I've done it. I've been there. I've made those mistakes. You know, I've done a lot of stupid things. Just today, probably. Did a few.
Let's talk to your wife and ask her.
Yeah, well, she's at work. She's my sugar mama, so she's making it.
Yep. It's like we were actually looking to buy a house, and it was backed up to a cemetery. So you had the back chain link fence, and behind it was this huge cemetery. Oh, and I was like, I was drooling over this house. I was drooling over this house, but it was in a really bad neighborhood, and there was a reason why they were only selling it for $180,000 when all the other homes in that city were going for $400,000 and more. And it wasn't because of the cemetery, but I just kept thinking at night, like, I could just even sit in my backyard.
Yeah.
The peace and quiet.
Do my own investigations of the cemetery without even having to enter it.
Yeah.
Like,
I do love old cemeteries. Mm-hmm. Like the first cemetery that I ever visited with Ed and Lorraine, ironically, is the cemetery where they're buried. And there are some headstones there dating back probably 1700s. And the stones are so oxidized, but they're very ornate, some of them. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. But some of them are so oxidized that you can't even read them anymore. And I just love that. You go on a beautiful fall day, and there's a lot of trees around, and the pictures you get. I used to love to do that. And every once in a while, you'd be surprised any time of day or night, and you might get something questionable in the photo.
Yeah.
And because Ed used to tell me, he's like, Joe, take a picture of that headstone that's all oxidized, and when you get the film developed, because this is before digital cameras.
Yeah.
This is like Polaroid and 35 millimeter. A lot of people don't remember what a Polaroid is, probably. But he says sometimes when you get the film developed, you can almost see a face or make out a face looking out at you. Now it's probably just pareidolia, but I got a few shots like that were interesting. But back then, when I didn't know my ass from my elbow, I'm like, oh, this is cool. I got a ghost looking out at me.
Yeah. Yep.
It's
there's a cemetery here that is in our city that's historic. It's a very beautiful, peaceful place. Like I love going there. We actually, me and Dana took our engagement photos there because it's just a nice piece of land, hilly trees, just but really old gravestones. It's just really, really cool to go to. So.
Yeah, we have this old cemetery by us where I did promo shots at. And it's surrounded by a forest, wooded area, and then the elementary school is right next door.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but it's one of the original cemeteries here in town, and it was funny too because I pulled out the dowsing rods just to hold for a photo, and I'm just playing around. I'm like, if you're here, cross the rods, and all of a sudden they started crossing.
Yeah.
And that's like the best photo we have from that whole photo shoot is I'm sitting there smiling. I'm like, they're crossing, even though looking back at the video, I was moving a little bit from, the excitement and the movement for the photos. But at the time it was like the most exciting thing in the world, but it's so beautiful there. And it's, I want to say that they date back to early Florida history.
Yeah.
And, way, way, way ago. But yeah, interesting. We do have a question since we're on the topic of cemeteries on thoughts on investigating a cemetery.
Yeah, like I said, that was one of the first places that I went, and it was just, people are like, oh, why do you only go to cemeteries at night? No, you can go anytime during the day, and we, Ed and Lorraine were there, and they're like, make sure you load your film right on the camera, right on site rather. And we usually used 400 speed film. We'd get the best results with 400 speed, it seemed. And I remember I went out and bought a brand new camera. It was a Vivitar, I think, because I couldn't afford a Canon. I'm taking pictures for like 15 minutes, and it's like, yeah, but he looks at me, he goes, hey, Joe, you got to take the lens cap off. I was so excited. I was like 19 years old, 18 years old. And I left the lens cap on, so half of my photos were just black. But seriously, though,
the shadow man.
That spirits don't hang around where their bodies are. I mean, it's just the physical shell that's left over that's buried there, and bones and dust. And I believe if there's any spirits in cemeteries that they were brought there by someone conjuring some way.
We've got one.
It's fun.
We've got one in Sylvania that there's the legend is, or the story is that this woman's husband passed away and then she remarried, but both of her husbands are buried in that cemetery. So she is seen walking from one to the other. I mean, so I could see that type of spirit hanging around the cemetery.
Right. Yeah. And that fits with my theory is, you're in spirit life, you go where you're most comfortable. And if your spouse or even your child passed before you, your comfort place was by their gravesite. Because we did for Real Haunts, we investigated the cemetery in Goldfield, and Aiden thought it was really cool. There was a cemetery or a Civil War veteran, Confederate veteran buried there, and it had this huge Confederate flag, and his gravestone was very elaborate, and he wanted to investigate that one. So he started an EVP session there, and of course we didn't reach out to, his name was Marvin Duke. We didn't get a hold of him. But he did get voices, a female voice responding. And our theory is that female voice was either a spouse or a loved one or even a daughter who found comfort visiting his gravestone.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, it's
possible. Don't get me wrong. It's definitely possible. And
I mean, I think, I'd like to think that if I die and I wander around as a spirit, I'm not going to hang around a cemetery, but, but I can see why some would want to, visiting,
Well,
like
basically the cemeteries are for us, for just have somewhere physically to go to pay respects, and I think it's beautiful. One thing I will note is that I am very careful. I try not to step on head footstones or headstones. Just out of respect.
But
that's just
same here.
me. Some people are like, don't worry about it, they're dead, they're not going to mind.
Now you got I like
one of my idiosyncrasies.
You guys both know I smoke. Obviously, I've done it on camera, but like, if I'm smoking in a cemetery, I'll put the cigarette butt in my pocket. I don't throw it. I'm very respectful in cemeteries, all around. So,
yep.
That was a good question.
If you're taking pictures, in cemeteries, I used to go make sure under a controlled environment. So make sure there's no light infiltration. More winter or fall, when it's cold, crisp air, because cold air can't really hold moisture, so you don't have to worry about that. Don't smoke, obviously. Hold your breath when you take a picture. I mean, those you're breathing, and of course, your breath, the moisture from your breath, and they're like, "Oh my God!" But it didn't happen in this picture. Well, it's because you weren't exhaling at the time, So here's explanations for that.
Here's a little fun fact. So me and Dana's second date was at a cemetery at night. We went on a little ghost hunt.
Okay.
We were looking for that lady in white that was going from grave to grave. We went to Sylvania.
Looking for Samara?
No, they call her the lady in white.
Black hair and like, really?
No, it wasn't that.
And also a way to be respectful too is like earlier this year, or no, late last year, we had to we found an old cemetery that I needed for a book, because I was writing a chapter on the oldest man in America who died here in Florida, and his gravesite is a tourist attraction. People will go out of their way to go to this gravesite because he lived 130 years.
Really?
And so we actually went to his gravesite, and before I sat down to take the photo, I just did a quick, I hope you don't mind I'm taking this photo, before I started snapping the photos. But yeah, he was born in Africa, lived as a slave, fought in the Civil War for the Confederacy in place of his master, was freed, fought in World War II or World War I, lived through World War II.
Jeez.
Yeah. I mean, the history this guy had. And some people thought he was full of crap because there's no record of his birth. But all of the stories that he had led everybody to believe, and his doctors thought he was that old. And when his doctor asked him, how'd you live to be this old? He's like, whiskey.
Yeah.
You could do a carbon dating.
Drank whiskey every day.
How old was George Burns?
Right. I know.
And
exactly.
he said at one point, like, he outlived every doctor that told him he needed to quit smoking cigars and drinking. So.
But yeah, when you come to Florida, Joe, I'll have to take you over there because it's about 30 minutes away from here, and it's right down the road from Spook Hill.
Okay. Well, I'll have to get down there soon.
Yeah. I want to go see Robert the Doll if I ever come to Florida.
Well, Bill's supposed to be, setting up some kind of field trip for us.
Oh.
Because he's I guess he's friends with the curator of that museum. So
yep. That dude is cool as hell. I wish I remembered his name. I'm so bad with names.
Is it David?
Yeah.
David Sloan.
Yep, he is.
Sloan.
He's a cool guy. He sent me.
Yeah.
I asked him. I wanted to buy a Robert the Doll, plushie from their souvenir shop. He sent me a box full of stuff, autographed books, a limited edition doll.
I haven't met him, but he sounds like a nice guy. Yeah,
he's very.
I want to give Robert a hug.
Yeah. I don't think he can.
Tell Annabelle. I mean,
well, Ozzy Osbourne blames everything, all of his problems as of late on Robert the Doll because he farted on it.
Oh, jeez.
And he really believes that he screwed up, but he won't go back and apologize to it. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe those myths, but I think you should be respectful wherever you go.
He is. You got to watch the Ozzy show with him and Jack. He is deathly afraid of that.
I haven't watched it.
No, and I don't think it's for TV. I think he's genuinely afraid of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kid, he's still alive. How old is he now? He's got to be almost 80.
Yeah, he's not in good health, which sucks.
He must be old because I remember going to the Coliseum and see his concerts when I was a teenager.
Yep.
Wow. That was a long time ago.
Yep.
Is there
So
any
long
other
ago, when I went to school, we didn't have history.
Wait, what?
Said I'm so old. When I went to school, we didn't have history.
Oh, okay. You were making history. I get it. It's like, damn.
My insurance company sent me half a calendar. I got 1 million of them. I'm tired. What can I say?
Yep.
It's like I brought a book to work the other day to read on my lunch break, and 19, 20-year-olds are working there too. And the one guy looked at me, he's like, "You still read books?"
Oh, yes.
I'm like, okay, I feel old now.
You know what? These ebooks, these Kindles, all that crap, I can't read that way.
I want to smell the book. I want to hold it.
I want to hold it. Newspapers too. I miss newspapers. I used to. Jesus, I'm really starting to show my age now, and I'm 50. But
you're a puppy.
I used to get a newspaper every day. Every day at lunch, I'd read the editorials to get pissed off. And that was my routine for years and years.
Just to get angry.
I'd read the one
newspaper with the printing press.
Did you?
That's funny. Yeah, newspapers there's newspapers have been around for 150 years that I don't know what they're surviving, but they're so thin now. Mm-hmm. Sunday paper used to be this thick. Well, now it's just full of,
like our local one. I mean, it's a historic, like it's been around for a long time. The Toledo Blade. I think they put out actual newspapers 3 days a week, but then everything else is online. So, and you're right. It used to be really, really thick, and now it's their Sunday papers. Like that was a Tuesday back 20 years ago,
And I remember the day when we used to have to put the newspaper together. We would have to print it on the printer and columns, and we'd have to cut the columns out, and then that's where cut and paste came from, because we actually pasted them onto the board for them to go to the press.
Yep.
It was like, oh God.
Jesus, we're showing our age. No wonder we don't like Sam and Colby.
Speaking of which, let's get back to debunking, Jeff. I'm just curious. Do you have, I don't know, I want, for lack of a better term, do you have a favorite debunker? Someone that you've corresponded with, gelled with?
I really like Beardo. I like his style. I like what he talks about. I like what he's all about. But Side-Eye Guy, I don't know.
I like him.
I'm really drawn to him. He is.
Love the mask.
Yeah. He's really, really skeptical. And here's a cool story is that he is in the States right now. And in fact, he's investigating the Bel Air house tonight.
Oh, is he? Yeah. I knew he was here because he went to the Conjuring house.
Yeah, he was at the Conjuring house the other day. But he's, like I said, he's very skeptical, but it's like, hey, let me go out and do this with these people and see what this is all about. And from what it looks like, he's had experiences that are like, I'm not saying it's a ghost, but that was odd, so that's, I do think debunkers need to investigate, those are, I take their opinions more than some of the complete skeptics.
Well, yeah, because then you are educated enough to speak intelligent about it.
Yep.
If you know how to investigate properly, then you, like, I'm my own biggest skeptic. It's like, I like, I got to experience something to see it. Do I believe it exists? Yes, because I have faith and I've seen stuff through the years, of course. But this is a different house, this is a different property. Is it possible? Yes, it's possible.
Yeah, and Cassie from Weeping Willow, they were actually at the Conjuring house with Side-Eye Guy. So there's going to be a lot of videos coming out from Weeping Willow Paranormal.
I'll have to subscribe and watch them. I'm curious.
Joe Vitale from Entity 7.
Yeah.
He put that whole thing on. I think he was the one that booked it. He actually got engaged there that night. It was funny. They did a live there, and
that's nice.
The Side-Eye Guy did a little session, and then Joe was like at the very end, he's like, "Yeah, we got one more thing to do," and he pulls out this ring, and that's where he kind of Yep. It was cool. So
I was there. I mean, I was at the Conjuring house. It had to be like 25 years ago.
Yeah,
that's when Norma Sutcliffe owned it, and she was a super sweet lady. super sweet and very knowledgeable. She did a lot of her homework on the house and very educational, but it had to be at least 25 years ago.
Yep.
I haven't been by there. I'm not that far from there. I'm probably about 2.5 hours in Connecticut.
The cost to go there now is that
Yeah.
new owner really.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. I won't pay it.
No,
I think I could rent out the Ohio State Reformatory for what they charge. Like it's,
I don't, and it's just my opinion, but I don't think there's anything there. I mean, I don't, unless it was brought in.
Definitely not what used to be there.
Oh no,
for sure. Yep.
I don't, but I know that Andrea and her family went through a tough time there. But
yeah,
I was like, I think that case had started in 1970 or 71.
I think I watched something today. They moved there in 71.
Okay. Yeah. And they lived there for till 80. They were there for like 9 or 10 years.
Yep.
But you know, I know, because I believe her. I know that they had.
Cassie just said it's the quietest investigation that she's ever been on. So, and that was from last week at the Conjuring House.
Oh, okay. She was there. Yeah. I mean, look, my opinion on the Conjuring House, I don't like what they're doing with it. I don't like the attitudes that I've seen. It's just it kind of sickens me to see what's going on over there. But look, it's not illegal.
No.
But, you know, to mess with people's emotions like that, I don't like it. I don't like it. But yeah, that's just my opinion. I have no plans on ever going back there.
Yeah,
there's no need to.
And I did ask. So Side-Eye Guy went there, and I thought, how ironic would it be if Cody and Satori were there that night working? Like,
they made sure that they weren't on staff, sure.
There was no way they were showing up. They knew who was coming. But that being said, too, all of those people were very respectful of the property and the house and the owners, and they followed the rules and all that other stuff. So we can't, you know, you can't say a bunch of debunkers came in and crashed the place, you know, because that's not what happened at all. So it was, I think they may have some strong opinions now that they're out of there. And, you know, when their videos come out, they may say some things about the cost and stuff like that, because it is outrageous. But, you know, it was really, really cool to see all of these people that, you know, that I hang out with, you know, online, get together, investigate together, have fun together, you know, just broadcast from their Airbnb that they rented together, and just, you know, it's really cool to see that. And
are there videos out yet? Because I'd like to. I could watch them on YouTube.
Not of the Conjuring House yet. No.
Not yet. Okay.
Nope. Nope. I don't know who's going to put out the first one, and they have rules too. Like, so as a YouTuber, if I were to go there and film, I have to show what I'm going to put on YouTube to the owner before I can post it. So they've got goofy rules like that, which is weird. So,
well, I mean, they own it. They can make the rules.
Yeah. Yep. And you know, Cassie, if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments, but like, I think they weren't allowed to go outside either and explore the property.
Maybe that was extra.
It probably was. Everything was extra. If you used a tissue, they charge you, I think, you know, just kidding. It's not that
roll of toilet paper.
Yeah. But yeah. So Cassie's going to put hers out probably the end of April, she says, and they'll be first. So go follow her channel if you want to see their experience.
I will. I try to follow as many people as I can.
Yeah.
And it's sad. People, they'll keep charging that stuff because people will pay it.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, I know we've talked about this before, Joe, St. Augustine Lighthouse.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to do a fundraiser because
how much?
$5,000 a night.
I remember you telling me that.
Holy crap.
Yeah. And because I was talking to them, we were going to try to do a fundraiser with them for the launch of my book. And instead of, you know, like other locations will be like, yeah, come on, bring your books. We'll sell them. We'll split the profits and we'll go from there. They wanted $5,000 for the night. And it was, I was like shocked. And I asked them, I'm like, okay, I'm like, and I just kind of jokingly said to them, I'm like, and you can justify charging $5,000 a night for that? And their response was they were on ghost hunters.
Oh,
and people pay it. People pay it. They're booked.
Yep.
Well, I mean, anything is worth whatever anyone is willing to pay. You know,
Yep.
I don't know. I do ticketed events sometimes. I lecture. I've got a lecture that I'm planning at the Enfield haunting that I experienced 17 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people that just want to go and experience the house, but I'm going to go and meet and greet with people. I'm going to talk to them for a couple hours, do a Q&A. And I'm just going to talk about the house as I knew it, 16, 17 years ago. I worked the case, I think, 2007 to 2009. So it was about 3 years I was on that case. And
yeah.
It was bad. It was a case that, Lorraine helped me with. I remember I tell this story, but her daughter called me one day, Judy, and said, Joe, please don't bring my mom to that house.
Yeah.
She asked me not to bring her there. She had a really bad feeling. And we got some overwhelming evidence that I'm going to show. But whether or not there's anything there today, I don't know. I haven't investigated there. But it's going to be nice. It's going to be good, and then the homeowners will give a tour to the people that want to come out and have refreshments and stuff. So,
and I've seen that video, and what happens off camera is pretty incredible too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really do public investigations myself. Right. I mean, they're fun, and if I'm invited and I got nothing to do, yeah, but. I don't know, Heather, I don't know if you do, but sometimes I get invited and they'll compensate me for my time or whatever. But what I like to do is educate. I like to, aside from helping people, I still do active cases, just not as many. If I'm needed, we have a whole team for that. But if they need me, I'm there.
I'm getting a lot of people that are like subbing to my YouTube channel and stuff like that are from say the debunker side of stuff, and I'm bringing a fresh thing to them with the residential cases and the fake paranormal teams that are showing. Just you guys should both go watch my last video. Like I show what a paranormal team did to a client with their photoshopped orbs and told her it was demonic. Like it's so clear that these are photoshopped, but like and a lot of, I guess my audience is like, wow, I've never seen that before. I didn't know all these exorcists were out here doing this crap. It's just, so I think I'm bringing something, because if I were to just, I guess turn into a straight up debunker and go watch these channels, and I would blow my brains out, because I did a poll and people want me to do a reaction or a debunk video. I can't find anything that I can watch for more than 5 minutes right now. So I'm really, really struggling to find out my next video. I have 25 other ones I want to make, but I'm trying to give them what they asked for, and it's like, God, I can't, some of this crap is so unwatchable. It's just, but there again, I do try and educate a little bit in every one of my videos too, from the real paranormal side, residential investigation stuff. I definitely try and bring that. I try and bring comedy and education to everything I do.
Right.
And that's great. That's great. And to be fair to everyone, there are a lot of good people and a lot of good teams out there that are knowledgeable and they share the same core values and goals that we do. And I mean, someone's got to pick up the torch.
Yep.
We're not going to be around forever. I'm not going to be around forever. That's for sure. But there are a lot of good people with a lot of knowledge and experience.
But a lot of people, they're just not, a lot of the good ones aren't putting it on YouTube because.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't have a YouTube channel. Right. I mean,
yeah.
And that's my choice.
Yep.
The thing is this, the people, the families I work with, they don't want to be known. They don't want their neighbors to know.
Right.
I remember when I first went to this Enfield property, I remember the homeowner saying, Joe, I don't want my neighbors to know you're here. I said, I'm not going to show up in the mystery machine.
Yep.
All right. That's what kills me is, show up in a van and you got, ABC Paranormal on the side of the van.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
Uh-oh.
You want to be discreet.
Here comes the t-shirt.
And the cases that I lecture about, I have express permission from the families. I don't disclose names. I don't disclose locations other than maybe the town, but I have permission from the families. And sometimes, to be honest with you, the families will show up whether I know about it or not. Usually I don't
Yeah.
know about it. They'll show up to come out and see me, and I'll say, hey, do you mind coming up? I'll give you the mic and you can tell the story. Who better to hear it from? You can hear it from me, but these are the people that lived it.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And the last video I did too, I did put a couple clips from the client, but it was blurred and the voice was distorted. And I treat them like a mafia boss or something, like, that's what I do. You're blurred and
yours are very entertaining, Jeff.
Yeah.
But you make a lot of good points.
I try.
No, they're funny, but you make a good point and just sprinkle some humor in there, and that's great.
Well, Rush Limbaugh always said, illustrate the absurd by being absurd. So that's a lot of what I do. I go over the top, and I'm going to do one. So I'm going to do something with Twin Paranormal because they're another big, the demons are everywhere and trapped me and scratched me and bit me and whatever. But I'm going to shoot. This is a reveal. So only a few people will see this. I'm going to shoot it in night vision. I'm going to get a wig. I'm going to draw some face tats and shoot the whole thing in night vision because that's what they're known for in their look. The night vision with their long hair and their stupid hat and hoodie and whatever, and their face tats and piercings. So that's how we're going to do that one.
Well, I wouldn't feel. I'll feel better if I just say this, and this is more for the people that may be listening or watching. Just be careful, okay? Be very careful because if you're going out and you're looking for trouble, you may find it. Yeah, and I can guarantee you're not going to be able to deal with it if you've got no formal training. If you do find a place that has some really negative activity, I'm not going to use the D word, but you're not prepared to deal with it. Trust me. And it's not me trying to sound vain, but please, if something like that does happen, call one of us.
Yes.
Get a hold of one of us.
Yep.
And we could possibly help you. But
there was a client too that the foundation almost took on, but she wouldn't do what we asked her to do. And so I've followed her on TikTok and Facebook for years. And it was the client that was in my Paranormal Nightmares TV videos that I did. But people suggested to her, you need to call Zach Baggins. You need to call Twin Paranormal. All these YouTubers. Like, no, you don't need that. That's the last thing you need. You need Joe Franke. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but with Joe Franke, there's rules
like me
you have to follow. Yeah, or Heather.
I'll help anybody, but you got to be willing to help yourself. And the first thing you do to help yourself is, you remember the old Karate Kid movie? Daniel-san, the base defense is not be there. Don't put yourself in that situation because now you've got an attachment. Okay. And that attachment can follow you and affect you and your family. And it wants to go after your finances, your marriage, your job. I have a good friend of mine right now that's been living a nightmare since this case 17 years ago. Yeah. And he's had problems with his whole life and family because that's what these negative things want to do. They want to destroy you. Yeah. They want to break you down. That's why I'm what I mean when I say this. Look, I don't want to be facing this stuff. All right. But someone's got to stand up to it. Okay. And there's a lot of us out there. If we could all just get along and learn from one another and get properly educated, I think it'd be a much better world. But, all the hating and infighting and all that stuff, that means that the negative stuff is winning, and Lucifer's just sitting here with his popcorn going, I got him now, and I don't know. It's
over the top right now. I mean, I'm sure you guys see it, follow it, whatever, but the negative is over the top. It's out of control.
Yep.
But that being said, if you just, don't get involved and stay out of it and do your own thing, it's all good. because like it doesn't affect me. There's all that drama crap doesn't affect me because I don't engage with it. I just I see it, I say it's gross, and I move on. I do what I'm doing. So
yep. You awake there, Joe?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was making some notes. I'm writing. It looks like I'm sleeping, but I'm not.
Yeah.
He's writing down unsub from Boo Paranormal Productions tomorrow.
No, I'm actually writing some notes for my lecturing because I learned things from you guys too. I'm like, oh, that's a good point. I want to bring that up.
That's the thing too. Like if anybody ever gets to a point where they say that, I know it all. I learn every day. Most every video I watch or show I watch or anything like that, I pick something up.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to be open-minded to maybe I was wrong about that. Like I said, with these recorders, that DR60, I use, where's it at?
And you know what? There's nothing wrong with being wrong.
Right. So this was my standard recorder for years. This,
what is that, Olympus? Or
yep, it's an Olympus. It's not cheap. It's $80. It's not, DR60 quality, but so I also have a Zoom H6 recorder, which is 6 tracks, high quality, $450. I've never caught an EVP with that, but I've caught tons with this. Why? So it makes you think, like, is this a low quality recorder that's picking up noises that sound like, am I turning something into an EVP? You know what I mean? And I've never caught an EVP with that, but I have nice microphones on my cameras. I have caught EVPs with those. So I don't know. I really question a lot of everything I've done and everything I need to do. So I'm constantly learning.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's part of the learning process.
Right.
Yep.
And nobody knows everything and nobody ever will know everything. But collectively, if we all work together, we're very powerful in knowledge. And it is my hope that we can, we can all get along.
There are parts of each. So, I mean, there's the paranormal community as a whole. You've got debunkers, you've got content creators, you've got TV shows, you've got real paranormal investigators, you've got all these different sects that fall under that same umbrella. You know what I mean? They all got to start merging together, because I was never aware of this debunker stuff until 5 months ago. And it's not like I'm not, I'm a paranormal investigator, not a debunker, but debunking is part of paranormal investigating. So I'm not a straight up debunker, but like, you have to get into them and see what they're saying to, I guess, to get what we're doing.
Yeah. I mean, you got to find out, like I said, the what, the when, it's like, okay, know what happened or what you're saying is happening. Let's find out why it's happening or if it is. And a lot of people just want you to come in to validate it. Okay. And when you go in and you say, geez, I really don't feel you have a problem here. Oh, you're wrong. You're wrong. So they'll call somebody else and call somebody else until somebody will agree with them. Well, we'll see. They agree with me. It must be true.
Yep. See, and the spirit talker is now accurate.
What's that?
It says facts.
Those are all the facts.
What we were just talking about was facts. Spirit talker.
Well, we are at 2 hours. So, Jeff, can you just let everybody know where they can find you?
But we're really focused on YouTube and TikTok. Actually, everything is Boo Productions Paranormal Toledo. So we're on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube is what we're really focused on. So that's where we're at.
Okay, perfect. And we will definitely have you on again in the future to see. I was hoping next time that we kind of maybe bring some of the videos that you're debunking and going against to show examples as we go. But that was something, I've been so crazy, I forgot to remind you or to tell you to do that ahead of time.
I thought about that too. It's like, shit, it's too late. But it would have been cool to clip some things. And maybe next time we can do that. But I mean, go check out our channel. We got some cool stuff going on over there. And I'd like to think a fresh perspective. I'm not trying to copy anybody else, but a lot of good channels to check out. Just open your mind and explore something new.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Yep. And awesome. Joe, anything you want to say before we close? Do you have anything for your soapbox?
Just, like I always say, be kind, be gentle, and always stay humble. Let's help each other out and stop the fighting, please. Yep. It's crazy.
Yep.
Exactly.
I'm sorry I even have to say that, but it's just getting out of hand, and no one is better than anyone else. We all bleed the same way.
But thank you everyone for watching us. I see everybody coming from all of our different avenues, but you can always follow us on Passport to the Paranormal, where I randomly share past videos, upcoming news and events about Joe and myself as to what we're all doing. And then you can also watch us every other Wednesday on Passport to the Paranormal on Facebook, Parapost Network 1, and Parapost Network and Parallax TV 1. We aired there as well. And actually, I was having trouble connecting to Parapost tonight. So hopefully you guys who watch us normally on Parapost catch the replay. I actually streamed to my YouTube channel just because we were having issues, but I do post on my YouTube channel the day after as well. And that is Heather Leigh PhD on YouTube. Our next show is April 17th, and that is 9 p.m. Eastern with the owners of the Enfield Demon House that we talked about a little bit earlier. We'll have them on to talk about their experiences and what is happening at the house and what has happened at the house. So looking forward to actually seeing them face to face.
I'll put in a shameless plug there. So I've spoken to the family recently because their activity has started up again, I guess. I haven't done an investigation, but I am going to be conducting some lectures at the home. So if anybody wants to visit the home and see me give a talk, I was the initial investigator brought in on that case with my friend, and we're the ones that dealt with the entity that was there at the time. And we believe with the assistance of Lorraine and Bishop McKenna, God rest his soul, and some other key people that were involved, that they were at peace from that affliction. But the family just want to find peace. And I was there the other day, everything was quiet, but I know there's a lot of people that would like to visit the home. I refer to it as the Enfield haunting because I lecture about this case. Actually, it's one of the worst cases I've ever had. So there definitely was something back in the day, but again, I'm going back, 16, 17 years ago. But just want to let folks know, if you want to come out and see me, it is a ticketed event. But they'll be posting that soon, I'm sure, on social media.
Yep. Yeah. And when that information comes out, we'll share on our Facebook page as well to make sure we get that out there.
But thank you for that.
Yep. And thank you again, Jeff, for joining us today. Great conversation as always.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Perfect. And,
thanks a million. Give my best to Dana. Give her a hug.
I will. She was like, she went to bed like a couple hours ago.
Okay. Yeah.
And everyone have a great night. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
I'll talk to you soon. God bless you.
Bye.